for those who have not followed this and do not know a lot about this, what is this Bawku crisis about?
Dr. Randy, thank you for the opportunity. I'm very saddened that many of the commentators on this issue do not actually know the facts or the background, and then they prefer to give expert advice, whatnot and whatnot. Others also know, and they are not honest enough to talk the truth. The problem we have with the Bawku issue is that people don't want to accept the truth. And people don't want to accept the fact that we have the rule of law and due process. Now, let me just give you a brief background of Bawku. Bawku, as I've indicated, is predominantly Kusasi. And now, the Mamprusi came to Bawku during the Trans-Saharan trade, when goods from the south used to come to Salaga, goods like gunpowder, drinks, cola nuts, etc., would come from the south through to Salaga. Then from Salaga, they will come to Nayiri. Then from there, they will descend to Bawku. Then go to Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, etc. So that was the Trans-Saharan trade route. And then on their way back, they passed through the same route. The history is documented. And it is that the Kusasis in Bawku used to waylay the traders, coming either from the north or south, and then seize their wares. So on account of that, because they used to come from and settle in Nayiri first, the Nayiri decided that, okay, he will establish a police post in Bawku to protect the traders when they were going south, coming back from the north to the south, or going from the south to the north. So he sends a few Mamprusi to Bawku to settle there and then maintain the trade route. So it is because they said the story is that the Kusasi were there and then harassing the traders. That's why the Nayiri decided to do that. So they came there, but they were not chiefs over Kusasis, who were the tengdanas, the landowners, and everything. They all coexisted, because the Kusasi were not particularly part of this trading business and whatnot. Now, this is what happened. And normally, when a community comes to some place like Kusasi, who are in the crowd, we have the Kusasi community chief, we have the Fafra community chief, and the rest of them. But none of them can ever aspire to become the Gamanche. No matter how strong or wealthy they become, they cannot become Gamanche. Because they have come to settle here and do business, they cannot become Gamanche. The Ashantis accounts are many in the crowd. Some of them could even outnumber the Gan, but they can never become Gamanche. That is the story of Bawku. Then, when the Europeans came in 1901, they were going to rule the area through chiefs because they didn't have the administrative personnel. So they settled first in the Nayiri Gambaga with the Nayiri. That's why the white man settled first. And then from there, the Nayiri princes and then the interpreters and facilitators escorted them down the scarp to Bawku. Naturally, when they got to Bawku, they were set with their brethren who were there already protecting the trade route. The white man wanted to see one chief controlling the whole area, but because we are acephalous, we didn't have one person control the whole area. There are tengdanas and clan heads and the rest of them. So the white man just decided that, okay, since the Mamprusi no chieftaincy and they want the chief to rule them, they will make the Mamprusi settlers in Bawku, the Bawku Naba. That is all. That is all. So since then, the Kusa have been struggling and struggling, and then they caught up with the independence struggle, etc. In 1956, the Mamprusi Bawku Naba died. The Mamprusi Bawku Naba died in 1956. And in 1957, the Mamprusis left Bawku to go to Nayiri. They normally go to the northern region to the Nayiri for enskinment to come back and rule the Kusasis in Bawku. So the Kusas said, look, Ghana, we are struggling for independence, that the white man should go. So you also go back to your Nayiri if you want to be chief. You cannot be chief over us. So while the Mamprusi were in Nayiri trying to get as chief, the Kusas also decided to eskin their own veteran to be a tendana of Bawku to be their chief. So at that time, in 1957, June 1957, there was a Nayiri and Skin Mamprusi chief of Bawku and a Kusasi and Skin Bawku Naba. Then the colonial governor, it wasn't common, but people have been the history, and I can give you documentation after this. The colonial governor, the last colonial governor, Lord Listowel, set up a committee. He said he couldn't recognize any of them without investigations. He didn't want to act arbitrarily. So he set a committee of inquiry to ascertain the claims of the Kusasis and the Mamprusis as to who are the landowners then supposed to be the traditional rulers of Bawku. The committee was chaired by one of Opoku Afare, a lawyer from the Volta region. The two other members were Nana Ajimambadu, the first, then late Domahini, and Rural Canton II, Tumukuru at the time. They went to Bawku and settled there and then investigated it and presented a report to the then colonial governor that in fact the Mampuris came there as settlers. They were Kusasi there doing everything and whatnot and whatnot. And that is why it's only a Mampuris family, but Kusasi is a whole tribe and the rest of them. And therefore it is administratively, politically, and developmentally wrong for the Nayiri, who has a family in Bawku, to impose the Mamprusi chief on the Kusasis extra. That was untraditional, uncultural. The colonial governor accepted the report and issued a white paper recognizing the Kusasi man, Abu Raga Zoka I, as Bokunaba and the head chief of the Kusasi area. Now let me explain this technical thing, Bokunaba and head chief of Kusasi area. In 1932, the colonial district commissioner in Bawku signed, brought all 18 divisional chiefs from the Kusasi area, that Bawku West, Pusga, Garu, Chimpan, and whatnot, and said that he settled in Bawku. So they should make Bokunaba their leader. They should make the Bokunaba leader so that he can be dealing with the Bokunaba, who can also deal with them. So in 1932, the Bokunaba was raised to the status of paramount chief over the rest of the Kusasi area. So the fellow from 1932, the fellow who was described as Bokunaba also became the head chief of Kusasi area. That is the same, is synonymous. Bokunaba or head chief of Kusasi area is the same fellow. Yala Bokunaba or paramount chief of Kusasi, the same fellow. Then when the committee made this finding to the colonial governor and Lord Lister issued the white paper, the Mampuris were unhappy and went to the High Court. That time the High Court was called Divisional Court. On the ground, not on the facts of the case, but the fact that the colonial governor erred by saying that the Bokunaba is also a head chief of Kusasi area. That was just the technical thing they appealed against, but not even the substance. And the High Court ruled in their favor and quashed the committee's report and then the colonial governor's white paper. Then the Governor General and then the Kusasi appealed to the Court of Appeal. And that time, that was the highest court of the land at the time on these issues. Who are to be chiefs of Bawku, Kusasi or Mamprusis, etc. Then the Court of Appeal, the High Court of Land, chaired or presided by Sir Akukosa, then Chief Justice, Granville Sharp, and Van Leer. They wrote a succinct judgment based on the committee's report, etc., and said that in fact, Bawku is for Kusasis. Mamprusis have no right to be chiefs in Bawku. Court of Appeal decision. And that was final. So there were peace and harmony in Bawku. Then 1966, National Liberation Council overthrows Kwame Nkrumah. And for no reason, they decided that all the Kusasi in Bawku should be distilled. So they were distilled by Decree 112 in 1966. The Kusasi have been petitioning governments and whatnot until AFRC. We led a demonstration in Bawku when Rollins came to Bawku, and we said, we need social justice. You are looking for social justice, this is part of it. But he said that, look, they have come for house cleaning exercise, they didn't come to do chieftaincy. So they should present a petition to Liman, who had won the election already. Liman didn't look at the matter because he had only 2.5 years and then left. Then Rollins came back, and Kusasi petitioned PNDC. And they passed PNDC law 75. After studying the situation, they said the people were there through due process, from Committee of Inquiry, through to High Court, through to High Court of Appeal. So how can you come and pass a decree distilling them when the highest court of land had judged in their favor? So PNDC law 75 was passed in 1983, restoring the Kusasi Bokunaba to the Court of Appeal decision of 1958. That had been the status quo. Then in 1996, the government, through Justice VCRAC CRAP, decided that there were some laws that are no more that are in the statute books that have no use. They have achieved their purpose. In fact, they have become spent law. So PNDC laws, some many areas were repealed. And by law, if you benefit from a law and then they repeal it, your benefit, you are now even further benefited because nobody can attach. There's no law for somebody to challenge. So in 2001, the Mamprusis came to President Kufuor. He said, we are MPP with you. Indeed, the tradition that the Bawku Mamprusis are traditionally UP, the Kusasis are traditionally CPP. That is a fact. So they came and said, President Kufuor, seize the chieftain from Kusasi for us. And Kufuor told them that, look, but by the Constitution, I cannot discipline as chief, and I cannot install a chief. I cannot also do anything. If we can go to court And I understand Kufuor took them through history and said that they should abandon their claim because there's no way they can go back to Bawku and become chiefs. They refused and went to the Supreme Court in 2003 under President Kufuor. And Akufo-Addo's chambers was the one that filed the petition against the Bawku Naba. His chambers was the fellow that did the case in the Supreme Court against the current Bawku Naba. Then when the case was to be heard on a particular day, the Mamprusi chiefs filed a notice, Mamprusi lawyers filed a notice of discontinuance at the Supreme Court with liberty to come back or to reapply. That day I was there. Justice Akwa, Brobe, Dr. Seftum and others, they presided. And they said, why do you want to withdraw? You voluntarily brought this case. They asking for a declaration. The PNDC law 75 declared null and void. Asking for a declaration that only a Mamprusi priest can be Bawku Naba and not a Kusasi man. These are serious matters. And why do you want to withdraw? Then, hello?
Yes, we're listening.
Good. Yeah, just wind up. Then the Mamprusi lawyers said that when they read the Bawku Naba's defense, they have no legs to stand. I'm quoting them. That they have no legs to stand. That means they have no case. Because they discovered that PNDC law 74 would not be in the statute book for them to challenge. They discovered that under the Constitution, you cannot, if you don't hail from a particular area and the rest of them, you cannot become chief. So the Supreme Court said, okay, you are at liberty to withdraw your case, but you have no right. Because the Supreme Court had stated the documentation that we had filed, the court case we had filed, the court decision we had filed. They said, you can withdraw your case, you are at liberty to do that, but you have no liberty to bring any action in Ghana to any forum challenging the Kusasi man as Bawku Naba under Articles 270 and 277 of the 1992 Constitution. That you have no right at all. There might be an end to litigation. You are being vexatious. You have no case, and you are wasting everybody's time. The rule of the Supreme Court is there. 3 lines. That's 2003 and the MPP. So this thing, the status quo remained. Bawku Naba became a chief and whatnot until 2021. And I presume because Akufo-Addo's chambers handled their matter in 2003, they thought that now that Akufo-Addo is going for his last term, then they must twist his arms so that he can use politics to impose a chief, make the chief of Bawku against all the due process of law and the rule of law. So 2021, they said that the former Mamprusi chief who died in 1981, we protested. Government, we even went and got an injunction to restrain them from doing such a thing. They still went ahead to do it. Government did not arrest them for contempt of court. Then from then, government led them, security escorted them out of Bawku to Nayiri, to Nayiri. Then in February 2023 last year, they enskined a Bawku Mamprusi man as Bawku Naba under security guards. We couldn't do anything because we can't fight the Ghana armed forces. And then government said that, we have made a mistake. So they went, Nayiri had no right to enskin a chief. There's a legitimate Bawku Naba. That government own statement that the enskinment is illegal, etc. So they went to High Court in Bolga. The state went to the High Court in Bolga and got an arrest warrant that they were going to arrest both the Nayiri and the person he enskined in Bawku, while Sedo Abagre. When there were protests in the northern region that you can't arrest their paramountcy, they dropped the case against Nayiri, but maintained the arrest warrant on this fugitive. Then the case came on appeal to the Court of Appeal in Kumasi, and they quashed the warrant. They said that it should have been the district court that should issue the warrant and not the High Court, and therefore they quashed it. Against that background that this fugitive has gone back to Bawku, and we now are seeing this bloodshed going on. Indeed, last week, when the appeal court quashed the arrest warrant, I called the National Security Minister, who is a good friend. I called Mr. Asomani, National Security Coordinator. I called Honorable Mr. Adami, Attorney General, and I told them that if they let the man go back to Bawku, there will be bloodshed. What they should do is that while they have filed appeal against the court appeal ruling to the Supreme Court, they should just go back to Bolga, ask the district magistrate, the AG department there, to file a fresh action at the district court for a fresh warrant of arrest, and then you are done. They said yes, they will do that. So the man has no right to enter Bawku. They will even mount security surveillance on him. Surprisingly, the Attorney General even wrote to the Court of Appeal, Supreme Court withdrawing the notice of appeal they had filed. They had not alerted their office in Bolga to also go and take an arrest warrant on his head. They allowed him to enter Bawku. And this is where we find ourselves. The summary of it is that the Kusasi-Bawku now is there through due process. Court of Appeal 1958, Supreme Court 2003. So there's no chieftaincy dispute anywhere, pending in any jurisdiction in any competent court in Ghana, or traditional council or regional house of or nothing in Ghana. What is happening in Bawku is abuse of, criminality and an abuse of power.